The Kenise and Marc Show. The Kenise and Marc Show. Make sure you tune into the Kenise and Marc Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Kenise and Marc Show. My name is Kenise.
And I'm Mark.
All about relationships, and
Vanessa
is joining us again for another episode. And today we're going to talk about, so let's talk about how we came up with this this topic. We came up with this topic. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about cheating. You know, she was asking me about, you know, certain things that were going on in her personal life. And then she said, you know, I don't know how it ended up there. Don't ask. Viewers, don't ask. She said, you know, is it considered cheating if your spouse is masturbating? So I was like, I don't know. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's an amazing show topic. So here we are. Our topic today is masturbation considered cheating in a relationship? So we're not gonna, you know, so Mark and I started this show, obviously, 14, 15 episodes down the road. You guys know why we started this show, is to talk about relationships and all aspects of relationships. And this is obviously one area that really people don't like to talk about, especially in the church realm. And part of the reason why Mark and I started this show is to really hit on certain topics that are not usually covered in like your traditional environment, church, family. So we're going to talk today about masturbation. Is it cheating? Is it not cheating? So Mark and Vanny, I posed that question to y'all. Is masturbation cheating in a relationship?
I say yes.
I say this.
I say no.
And why?
Well, because let's talk about masturbation as a person. People masturbate because why?
Hey, don't be don't be trying to act like me.
Really?
Release.
Okay. Welcome back.
But if you're in a relationship,
Thank you.
it's totally unnecessary to do that. If you're in a relationship.
That's what I say.
But when I did some research on it, there are some people out there who said it's okay to masturbate. Well, it's not considered cheating, but it's okay to do it in a relationship if the other person is aware. You tell the person, you tell your spouse that, okay, you know, I'll be masturbating, and it's okay to do so.
I don't know of any relationship, in my short 22 years.
I'm sorry, I gotta sit up for that one. I'm sorry, you're short how many years?
21 years.
You're talking about, that's the latter part
my
of your
short
life.
20 years of life, that I have never known any woman that is in a relationship with a man that have given them consent to masturbate. I actually know of several women that when they do find out that their husband, significant other, is doing this, they feel very betrayed. That's where that sense of like, oh, it's cheating. Because at the end of the day, anyone can tell you that masturbates, they have to visualize something.
Right.
Either they have a magazine, they have a picture of someone, they have I don't care if it's your wife. If it's your wife, then go to your wife. You don't need a picture of your wife unless they're thousands of miles away or whatever. That's a different story. Phone sex, I don't mind about that. That's good. That's you and your wife, no problem. But the masturbation, you know what I'm saying? It has that link to it. The link to it is the whole thing of pornography.
I think we're teaching Mark because he's listening attentively to what you're saying.
Yes. Teach on, my sister. Teach on.
So it's all, the premise is it's a really big black hole. It's a huge black hole. If you're gonna tell your partner it's okay because you're giving them the okay to go look at a video, you're giving them the okay to go look at a magazine, and then from there it's gonna converge into this point where they're gonna feel it's okay to do like this, then I can actually have a physical partner, and it just trends into that.
I just don't feel that, and I'm not trying to sound a little deep, but I just don't feel that was part of the plan of God.
That's it.
I
love
just don't.
it.
And sometimes I say to people, even, and I know this is off the subject, but I'm gonna hit it anyway.
Yeah.
when it comes to same-sex relationships and all of that, my philosophy is always this, and going back to the subject, take your cues from animals. Animals instinctively know what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. Have you ever seen a gay lion? Have you ever seen a gay elephant? No. Now, I said that, and I know that's another whole topic, but going back to our topic, the animals even have sense enough to know that when they do that, it's for a reason. But anytime any sex is involved with animals, is to produce.
Correct.
It's to recreate.
Right.
We as mankind have taken what God has given to us and have just abused it. I just don't feel that that was the plan of God to, if God created man and then he created woman, and this was the plan. And then when you bring those two together, it's to be fruitful and multiply.
And masturbation is literally degrading your partner, because what it does, it starts you on a path that's becoming a habit. And in that habit, the actual person you have in front of you no longer has value as much as the imaginary video or person in the
It becomes
video.
an addiction.
And it only gets worse to the point where you're not gonna facilitate the person to fit that.
Right.
But we're going to continue this after the commercial break.
Fellas, do you ever find yourself being rejected by the ladies because of your breath?
Look, junk in the trunk. Okay, I'm gonna be with you. It's a holiday, right? Yeah. Let's me and you gonna make a miracle on 34th Street.
Try Lipsperine and get your relationship back on track.
Hey, welcome back. Thank you guys for joining us for Is Masturbation Considered Cheating or not cheating? So before we went on commercial, Mark, we were talking about...
Oh, I thought you were going to continue saying... We were talking about...
Yeah, we were talking about before we went out to commercial break.
We were talking about... I made the distinction that animals know, without any reading of books or watching any videos, they instinctively know what God has placed in all of us in terms of sexuality.
So we talked about, you guys, I said, is it considered cheating? You said yes, I said no, only because I'm being devil's advocate. I did read somebody, a Christian person that wrote an article and said it's okay, and once it's communicated, once it's mutual respect and okay within the realm of the marriage.
No.
Now, I think, I also agree with Mark and Vanny that it's not something that you should be doing in the scope. I think masturbation, what I have learned earlier in my life, is that it can become an addiction. And then you're now knowing how to please yourself. How in the scope of a marriage, if you know how to please yourself, that is not what marriage is about. If you're able to please yourself, you shouldn't be in a marriage, because that you lose the intimacy. So let's talk a little bit about how do you maintain the intimacy if you're masturbating over there on the side?
You can't, and because masturbation, like you said, it's an addiction. The only reason it's an addiction, it's like a drug addiction, because it releases the endorphins, it releases those good feelings inside of you, the high, you get that high when you climax. And so who doesn't want to have that at the, no pun intended, at the tip of your fingers? If you can have that, what do you need?
Oh my gosh!
Oh, you don't. Mommy, forgive me.
She's worried about mommy. I'm like, Jesus, forgive us, Lord. We know that we do not know what we do.
But getting back to it, at the end of the day, what it is that we're being taught in the secular world, in outside of church. Church is saying no, and that's great and wonderful, but they're just saying no. Right. They're not teaching me how not to do it. They're not teaching me that if I did do it, that I can be, I can stop it. Right. They're just telling me no. But on the other hand, the other side is telling me that, oh, this is a part of your body growing, and yes, it happens in puberty usually. You have this burst of hormones, and you're wondering about what's growing and what's not growing and what have you. And so you should go ahead and follow that feeling and touch and do whatever, which is great. But at the end of the day, they now seal the deal and say, well, if you feel like this is what you need to do, do it, so that it's a healthier thing. I've heard recently, like 2 or 3 years ago, that was the training they were giving us, that it's healthy and it's good for young men to do this and whatever. I'm telling, but this is only my personal view. I don't believe it's healthy at all. I don't believe it is of God. I don't believe it was the way we were purposed or designed. It was just something that we took from that design and perversed it.
As a woman, I don't think in a relationship, if I'm in a marriage, I want to hear from my husband, hey babe, you know, I'm gonna masturbate, or
you're okay to go do it
right.
yourself.
I feel like I'm not satisfying him, and probably vice versa, right, Mark?
Yeah, it makes the person feel
like.
You know,
well, I think more
he
men.
just removed
they're
my
happy.
mojo.
I think men want to watch you do it.
Well, that's different. I
That's,
think
you know.
so. I think that's different if. You know, I think that's different. If you're like, you're intimate with your husband, the Bible does say the bed is undefiled. You can do it in the, you know, your bed.
But it's just one, it's just, I don't know. I think it's just like,
If you're
we're focusing on masturbation.
yeah, we're focusing on masturbation
Where I
outside
find
of like my
own.
Right, I'm doing it in some other room, or my spouse is not home. I'm doing the bathtub. Oh God, wherever we're doing it. I just started rubbing the back. It is not cool. So it is a possibility of addiction. It hinders the intimacy, that connection, because you know, intimacy was created to connect with that person. That's why sometimes it's really hard when people are in a relationship and it's outside of marriage. Once they become intimate, that I don't know, the chemicals inside of us, men and women, you unite together. You know what I mean? Unite, and that's
the Bible says that
it's hard to break
the
away.
mystery of it.
And which is a phenomenal thing, which that God
Done in the
created,
right
and we
way.
were created, that's inside of all of us, done in the right way. So I mean, I know it's another subject for us to talk about. You know, if I'm in this situation right now, if our viewers, there's somebody out there that's in a situation like this, how do I stop this? How do I move away?
I would say this before we answer that. The question was, is it considered cheating? For us, I think the consensus is yes.
Yes, it is.
But that's just us. That's not necessarily that's what it is. But that's why our reasons behind why we say yes. Now, when I don't believe in how do you, I mean, that like you said, that's gonna be a huge series. That's not one show. But just know this: if you're in it, there is hope. You can stop. You just have to be willing to open up to someone that you trust that will hold your confidence and walk you out of that valley. I've seen it happen. I've seen it done. I've even walked certain people through it. Situations have arisen. It can happen, and don't live in it, because it'll just breed guilt, and it keeps you lower and lower, and all you do is just continue.
And I think, how do you know that this could potentially be an addiction? Maybe there's somebody who's looking at the video here and saying, you know what, fine, I just do it every so often. I'm married, I'm happily married, but every so often I do it. How do you know it's an addiction? Stop doing it.
Yeah.
And see if you're thinking about it. See if you're thinking about it, seeing if you are, you're desiring it. Then if that's the case, then it's an addiction. And I know it's very similar, the addiction to and that leads into porn, and we didn't really cover that.
Well, actually, porn leads into that.
Yes, porn leads into it. So which are very intense addictions. I know one person, you said you've spoken to other people. I don't know who Mark has ever counseled anybody in his pastoral role or anything, but I do know one person who such a severe addiction, he's actually lost his job because he goes, and he's not married though, but he goes on these binges. And he can't get out of it, to the point where he's lost his livelihood, to the point where he is back to being homeless. So stop. If you can't stop for a couple of weeks without thinking about it, it is an addiction. So guys, we're gonna hit this topic, and maybe later on, if you guys have any follow-up questions on this, please, you can feel free to let us know. Check us out on YouTube. Please subscribe, hit that red button, subscribe to our channel. Please share the video with somebody you feel that
But
will
I do
need
have a
this.
disclaimer. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I have a disclaimer. Again, I don't mean to be so deep, but your marriage will not work if you stay in that arena of if you're in a marriage and you're masturbating. And I mean, the disclaimer is also that if you're not married, you shouldn't be having any kind of sexual activity.
Whether masturbation
Especially
or
with
Nothing.
yourself.
That's right.
No, good.
Okay, so
Then you don't need to
I needed to say that.
Awesome point. Awesome. That's the pastor in.
Yeah, so
in
the pastor came out.
Your pastor just came out, but I think that is
Amen.
very deep. I loved it. That's amazing. So guys, again, I was talking about my subscribing. Subscribe.
Yes, please.
You know, we care for you guys and we love you guys. We're doing
These
this
are hard
to
topics.
really help y'all.
Yeah.
You know, to help. And while we're helping, we hope that it'll touch somebody's life out there. So share the video. Follow us on Facebook. Like us on like our YouTube channel, and also subscribe to it. So thank you guys. I'm Kenise.
I'm Mark.
Vanessa.
Love y'all.
The Kenise and Marc Show. The Kenise and Marc Show. Make sure you tune into the Kenise and Marc